HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambee. With Bambee, get access to your own dedicated US-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambee's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambee starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambee can take off your plate. Go to Bambee.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambee.com. Type in Accelerate. Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth, where we're exploring all sorts of business topics. Experts from around the world join me, your host, Diane Helbig, for a conversation where they share their expertise with all of you. Take what you need when you need it. Featured on Inc.com, Forbes, and MSNBC's Your Business, this podcast is recognized as one of the best podcasts for small business, sales, leadership, social media, and more. When it comes to business, Accelerate Your Business Growth has got it covered. And now on with the show. My guest today is Kate Doster. Kate is the host of the Inbox Besties podcast, creator of the Love Your List 2.0 email marketing mega course, and is dangerously obsessed with helping ethical entrepreneurs carve out their slice of the interwebs. She helps her students woo open the hearts and wallets of their small but mighty audiences thanks to fun email marketing and easy yes mini offers. She believes you don't need to bleed the alphabet or be a dirty, rotten spam face to write emails that jolt subscribers into taking action, gobbling up your paid offers like candy, or kale if that's their thing. Thanks so much for joining me today, Kate.
Thank you so much. Anytime everybody reads that line about the spammer face, I can tell how good the interview is going to be if they giggle or not. So I know this is going to be a great one.
And I got to tell you, email marketing is one of my favorite subjects. But I feel like I've sort of gotten away from it. So I'm really looking forward to learning along with the listeners about, what I probably should be doing as opposed to what I am doing. So this will be good. Mm-hmm. Okay. So trying to figure out which of my questions I want to ask you first. Talk to me about, I'm really curious about if-then scenarios, and how you figure out, when someone should be focused on growth and when they should be focused on nurturing.
Excellent. So just to clarify, are you talking about when somebody should be focusing on growing their email list, getting their name out there versus actually taking time to sit down, making sure that they have sequences, making sure that they're emailing their list? I just want to make sure that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah. Thanks so much for that question. Yeah. So I want to know what your thoughts are around growing a list or nurturing the list we already have.
Both at the same time. And that's what I think people are like, what? Because email marketing can touch every facet of your business. Like if you just think about yourself, because I know both of our philosophies truly boil down to treat people like people, right?
Yeah.
If you look at Instagram, you're probably following like 500 people. There's no way that you are on 500 people's newsletter list. Like it's just not happening. You're on maybe a handful, 15, and they are going to be like the cream of the crop scenario. So you know that you're only going to be on somebody's email list if you are really interested in the topic or niche that they're teaching about, and if you're interested in them as a person. Because the reason why people go to their inboxes in the first place is to procrastinate. Like they just want to be entertained. Like no one's truly going there being like, oh, what email I got. It's, in our case, it's like, oh, the next chapter of the book is not going so well. Better go and check my email. Or everyone's telling me to do Instagram reels, but this is too hard and I don't want to dance like an idiot. Oh, might as well check my email. For us, we're, looking for sales and all that other stuff, but really people are going for that dopamine hit. So you want to be thinking to yourself, usually when they're interacting with us, right? Me and you, Diana, they want to be able to help people. They want to be able to make that impact. So it's always going to be your job to be going out on the hunt and getting in front of new people that you can help, or they might fall victim to your competitor who doesn't care about them, but does not care about throwing gajillions of dollars at ads or just treating people like numbers and pushing them through their funnels and pushing them through their funnels. So like it's your job as that ethical entrepreneur to make sure that you're always thinking to yourself, how can I get in front of more people? So even if because I know like you do leadership, right? Even if you need to give yourself like themed days because your brain can't handle doing both in tandem. So maybe for you, Monday is going to be like lead generation day. And we can talk about different things that you can do to grow your list. But like that's the day you're going to make sure that you do all of like your list growth activities. You can schedule things out. You can send emails to get on other people's podcasts, that sort of thing on Monday. So then you've got, Tuesday and Wednesday, if you need to make sure that your email sequences are in line. If you're like me and you like writing a weekly newsletter because you just love talking about what's going on, then you're going to pick that day of the week to do it. So now it's just like, oh, it's just ingrained in you. Like Monday we do this, Tuesday we do that, and then the rest of the week we're good. So that's why I really like to focus on both. And when you realize that you don't have to do everything under the sun to get both done, it's a lot easier all of a sudden.
Yeah, boy, it's so great. And I love the structure of it, because I think that's part of what trips people up, right? Is that they don't really have a process.
Exactly, right? And like, I'm willing to, because you've written, in my opinion, a lot of books and a lot of great books, right? I'm sure that you had a scheduled time of like, oh, I'm going to make this up. I write from 6 to 9 in the morning, right? And that's like your writing time, regardless, your butt's in the chair. So we need to actually start setting that appointment in our Google Calendar as we're getting going with this. It's like, all right, Tuesdays at 10, from 10 to 10:30. I'm writing that weekly newsletter, or from 10 to 12, I'm working on my welcome series. So that way you actually get it done and you get in the habit. And when you realize that, honestly, being on your email list is a privilege, like we're not going to go let in the riffraff. We're only going to let in those action takers who are almost just as excited about your topic. Usually they're more excited for the results than your actual topic. All of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to talk to these people. So then you want to start writing to them more.
I never would have thought about this in terms of the number of lists that I'm on, and about, how consumers discriminate around what information they want coming into their inbox. I think that is so key to this thought process. And, this conversation, I never would have thought about it that way, but it sort of flips the script.
Mm-hmm. I think that everyone, and regardless of, if you are doing offline business, online business is my specialty, that sort of a thing. We all know in sales in general, it's always about like grow that list of contact, do this other stuff. So in my industry in particular, people really just, and I know that I think it's the first chapter, and I think it was your first book of Succeed Without Selling. You talk about mindset. And a lot of email marketing is mindset, because everyone is just like, oh, everyone is telling me like, I need a big list. I need a big list. I need a big list. But then if I send out an email, people unsubscribe. No, you don't want a big list. You want people that actually engage with your stuff. So when you realize like, all right, you can either go this with two angles, because people are different, right? You can be like, when somebody unsubscribed, you're like, good riddance. I didn't like them anyways, and I didn't want to have to pay for them in ConvertKit. Later, home slice. Or you can think to yourself, oh, maybe they just got help. Maybe they just got help with everything that they need, and now they're going away, and now I can welcome in more people. So you cannot be so fragile, and you cannot be like, oh man, like what if I get these unsubscribes? Who cares? Getting an unsubscribe means that you actually emailed your list. And we both know that taking action is the fastest way to get results that you want, because it's no good to have an email list of, 1,000, 10,000, 50 people, right? They don't know if they're one of 50 or one of a million sitting there doing nothing. I can't pay my electric bill with your email address. But with my relationship and the trust that I built in and the amazing products that we learn how to sell better on this podcast, I can get it done.
This is so great. And so, okay, but what is it about emailing that really trips people up and make them not want to do it? What's going on there? That feels like a mindset issue.
100%. So it's that fear of rejection. Nobody wants to get that reply back saying like, oh, you're stupid. This was awful. I hate you. All those keyboard jockeys. Again, one of the first things that I have all of my students do is literally write in our Facebook group, being on my list is a privilege. So then all of a sudden, when you get that negativity, you're like, ew, how did you get in here? Like, you're not allowed to be in my world. Get out, right? So you're just like, oh, they must have had a bad day. We laugh at them and we delete them and we get over it. So you need to sort of, and that's going to be at like any muscle, right? We would have loved, Diane, if we could have done a sit-up in high school and still had a six-pack. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way. So we have to build that muscle and be like, okay, how do you not care anymore? Because I've been practicing on it. And so I think that's the first part, is they don't want to be attacked. They've also been on the end of really bad emails, at least for like our people, and they don't want to be associated with that. So now they're afraid of getting judged. They're afraid of people being mean to them. And now they're afraid of being looped in with these people who at their core value, they cannot stand.
Yeah.
So they psych themselves up. And then there's that whole like imposter syndrome aspect of like, well, who am I to actually teach this? Or it's not called Dunder Mifflin, but that's what I nicknamed it because it makes my audience laugh. I like having fun, if you guys can't tell. But there's actually this phenomenon that happens, like it's really researched, where the more that you know about a certain topic, the more you realize you don't know. And that's where I find a lot of my people in, like, it's like this downward curve. Like, this isn't really an example for this podcast, but like you learn a couple chords on the ukulele and you can play like 5 songs and you're like, I'm king of the world. And then you find out about like how to do bar chords and an E chord and how to do all this other strumming pattern. And you're like, holy crap, I know nothing, even though you can know more than your audience. So then you're second guessing yourself. What if they've already heard this before? What if this is too beginner friendly? But then when you're like, most people need to hear stuff more than once to actually take action. Again, treat people like people. Chances are you've probably listened to your favorite song more than once, right? So I don't want you thinking that like people hate repetitiveness. What they hate are those sales emails that you get that's like, 5 minutes left to get this discount, 2 minutes left to get this discount, dummy. Why haven't you got this yet? When you're repeating yourself and you are really digging in to that scarcity and urgency, meaning like there's a time limit, there's only 5 left, the discount's going away, that's when you're going to come off as awful and insincere. But when you know what you're helping people with your product, it's like, look, I understand that selling can feel awkward. It can feel like you're stealing people's money, which is why I'm going to give you scripts that actually make you sound like a human and not like those people on Facebook that you haven't talked to in 15 years trying to get you to join an MLM. And when you go ahead and you join my program or buy my book in the next 2 days, guess what? You're going to get it at 30% off. So now all of a sudden, you're leading with the result. You're leading with the thing that they want. You're telling them how they're going to be able to get help and they get a discount on top of it. You're rewarding them for being an action taker. Like, woo! Now all of a sudden, the sky's the limit. So you got to get rid of that mindset chunk. The pure thought that you're concerned about being roped in with all of those awful people means it's impossible. You're not going to annoy people when you think to yourself, how can this email help somebody today? Whether it is making them feel like they're not alone, whether it's giving them that burst of entertainment, like, hey, did you know it's National Taco Day? Here's 5 taco recipes. Or, hey, it's National Taco Day. Here's a discount because it's fun and I like having fun. All of a sudden, they're like, yes, I love Diane's emails. They're always so useful. but they're palatable and they're easy to get through because, again, in an inbox, people are just going for a quick hit. They're not going like for a whole chapter of a book.
Right. Wow. This is awesome. I love this. I'm, for a variety of reasons. But it's just so liberating to,
Yeah.
hear this and know, okay, I don't have to be like those people and I shouldn't be like those people because it doesn't work.
Be you. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always, and I know that we share very strong similar beliefs. That's why I keep on bringing us up. But like,
Yeah.
I know for a fact, Diane, I am not everyone's cup of tea. Like, I make references to 90s songs. I talk about having fun. Like, I talk fast normally. I'm trying to slow it down. Since I'm chatting with you, Diane, I'm like, Diane's like the coolest cat in the world. And I'm all like, woo! So I'm like, bring it down to Diane's level, Kate. But like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. They're gonna think, some people are gonna think, oh, that mindset stuff, like that's all like woo woo and like, I don't care if
Yeah.
you go and find somebody else to teach you
Right.
email marketing and copywriting. I just need you to succeed because my mission is so steeped in putting money in the hands of good people so they can do good with it. I do not care. And when
Yeah.
you go in and you have that mindset of if I can't help them, they better go find somebody else that can,
Yeah.
it's so liberating. Like you
Yeah.
said, it gets it out there. So now I'm like, no, like I only want to hang out with the people that I want to hang out with. I would love to be able to help everybody, but I know I can't. And so I'm cool with that.
Well, me too. And you have to be because you're not going
Yeah,
to, right? So
exactly.
why try and create a situation that just is not going to happen?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, totally with you on that. Whether you're a seasoned designer or a total novice, with Visme, you can create engaging, dynamic, branded content that makes people ask, how did you do that? Visit tinyurl.com/seesvisme to explore. If you're a small business owner or salesperson who struggles with getting the sales results you're looking for, grab a copy of Succeed Without Selling on Amazon and wherever books are sold. And if you haven't seen all Audible.com has to offer, you don't know what you're missing. Sign up for a free trial at audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Okay, so you say there are 4 must-have launch emails, and I'd like you to define what a launch email is, but also what are they?
Sure. So a launch, and this is like, really typical, especially I feel like in the online realm, but like, again, normal people don't necessarily talk like this. So a launch is usually any time that you are doing a promotion or a push focused on either one particular offer or product. Now, a launch can be when something is brand new, like say Diane decides to make us a new book and we're like, yay, and we go gobble it up on Amazon. So that would be the launch of her book. In my particular case, it would be when I decide to open the doors to one of my signature programs that we have called Love Your List. So basically, for 2-3 weeks, I'm focusing on that. There is an end date. Usually, again, in your case of launching a new book, I mean, the book's always going to be available, but you'll probably add, some type of bonuses if people share about it. They can get you on the show. They can just have more Diane in their life, right?
Yeah.
But it's a very limited amount of time. So that's what really a launch is. And this can be for something brand new, something that you have occasionally. So just think of it that way. Don't let it like really get into your head. So especially for online programs and digital products that are a little more, I guess higher price is subjective really, but we'll say that are at least over $200 because under 197, I feel like you don't necessarily need a lot of emails to sell it because I don't want to say that it's only 200 because it can be substantial, but I've seen people go overkill with this for say a $34 product. You don't need that for a
Okay.
$34 product,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's some pieces that you're going to pick, but I'm talking about like, this is like your thing, it's say either over $500, $2,000 is really sort of standard in my industry. You're doing a group coaching program, maybe an inner circle thing, maybe a mastermind. So when you are doing your launch emails, you need to think to yourself, how do people actually buy and make decisions? right? And so everyone's sort of heard of like that, as somebody in the observant phase, the decision phase, all of that. And that's great, right? I always say, kick it old school, that's fine. But you got to think to yourself, truly, truly, what has held even yourself back from buying something that you ended up buying the last minute? So for a lot of people, the first sort of stage is whatever this course or this product or this super coaching program with helping, like, is it even worth my time? So you got to talk a little bit about that at the beginning. Then it's like, okay, but like, can this person actually get me results? So that was when, you would share with them, quick wins, you would share with them a couple of testimonials, and and the way that I do testimonials is a little bit different. Like, yeah, there are what I call my show ponies that'll be like, yeah, this person made $25,000 selling a course about plants thanks to me. Woo. But like, I like bringing up the ones of like, she made her first sale during the height of COVID and it was $24. Like, I like celebrating all of my students' wins. So it's like, okay, like now I think that Kate can do it, right? And now I think the topic is good. But like, can I really get it done? And that's where those last couple of launch emails, well, yes, you do want to bring in if the doors are closing, if a bonus is going away, but you need to think to yourself internally, subconsciously, what is holding them back from thinking that they're going to have success? Is it, I'm not that type of a person? Is it, we call them the yeah buts. We call it the Sir Mix-a-Lot principle. After the song Baby Got Back, just like he likes big butts, so does your email list and so does your bottom line. So you need to start thinking of those yeah buts that people have. So one of the key emails that I really like to send, especially like I said, in the online space, when say you're opening a cart to something, your program, your group coaching, all that funness, I call it the cashing in the chips email. So we have all been on the receiving end, especially because we're business owners, of that like, oh, my super awesome course is open. And like, that's the subject line. And like, you're just going on and on and on and on about this course. That's not the right way to do it. I know everyone is doing this, but this is why my students and I get ridiculous results with tiny lists. In that first email where you're officially opening the doors or you're officially inviting them in, they can actually finally pay you. The cashing in the chips email is about being like, look, I know that you've tried A, B, C, and D. And I know that you are working off your booty. I know that this is happening. You're going to get really specific. There's a concept called moments that we can talk about later if you want to. You're going to bring those up. And then it's like, which is why I put all of these things and talk about a couple of deliverables into Love Your List, into my new book, into this, right? So you're again leading with making them the hero of this journey. It's like, I see you, I feel you. This is why I made this thing. And here is how it is different. And here's how I'm dedicated to you. So that's the first email. It's the cashing in the chips email. And I feel like this is why when you go at it at that results, and again, you're still going to tell them that it's open. It's still exciting. You're still going to get lots of sales on the first day, hopefully, especially, if you've been doing a challenge or webinar, or you've been talking about this to your list for a while, you're going to get a lot of it on there. So that's really the first one, is that cashing that chips email, which I feel like a lot of people miss. Another one that you're going to send probably, I'd say about 48 hours before either your cart's closing or your promotion's ending, or, that some type of final trigger is happening, you're going to send a frequently asked questions. And what's really nice about this is it can be pulled directly from your sales page. But what I want you to make sure of is that the questions that you have, and they don't have to be all of them, but in those frequently asked questions, you don't want to start with, how long is this going to take me? Where do I get it? How many modules are in it? That sort of stuff. Because those are like, people buy an emotion and justify with logic later. Those are more logistical questions. That's not what you want to do. Because most people, they're going to read the first couple parts of your email, the first couple part of your sales page. And if they don't think it's relevant, they're just going to stop reading. So when you can really hit them with those first couple of frequently asked questions, being those yeah buts that people are going to have, it's like, I want to, I always tell my students, you can start with a sentence starter, but you don't need to actually include the words. It's like, I want to join, this coaching program, but, and then start with one of those first. So I have a student, she helps people with art. So frequently asked questions can be something like, I want to join this art program, but I'm always afraid of wasting my new paint. If you are starting with, as opposed to 5 modules that are going to teach you the basics of spatial, right? Like nobody cares about that really, but you're like really getting them with, I don't want to waste my good paper. I don't want to waste the paint. Every time, like imagine this being a frequently asked question. Every time I've tried to paint something before, it always comes out ugly. Imagine if that's a frequently asked question. And like you put that towards the very top of this email, because not only are you going to be able to recognize like, hey, they've been doing the work, but you're also going to tell them how your product's different. And we both know in selling, right? Different and why now are the 2 questions you've got to answer. Yeah. And in a lot of different ways, right? So you can do that. If you want to stretch that out to a couple of emails, because say you've got a really good frequently asked question, and you want to throw that as one email and then break it up with more logistical ones for the second, you can. I'm also a really big fan of the sneak peek email if you can, because some people, again, everyone's different, they might need to visually see, especially if they're on the fence, they might need to visually see like, is the quality of the product, of the offer, of your coaching, is it to my standards? Because again, we've all purchased something, usually online, not necessarily an info product, but usually online, when it just comes in the mail and we're like, this is so janky. Yeah. Or like, remember when you used to, I don't think you do this anymore, but like, remember when you used to get like prizes in your cereal box? Yeah. And it was like, they always look so cool in the package. You're like, oh my goodness, like a 12-inch like action figure. And then you get it and it's like 2 and you're like, right? So we don't want to cereal box these people, right? So that's how I always tell them, show them something that you can. So I, in my sequences, it depends. Sometimes I'll send them, a lesson on moments, but when you're choosing this, and because I'm a course creator, right? So when you're choosing that lesson, you want it to be one that doesn't give away like your whole process, right? But you want to give one that's good enough where they're like, holy crap, I've never heard anybody talk about this before. And one where you happen to casually mention the next thing. So it's like, oh yeah, in the next lesson, we're going to talk about this and this. So now they're like, oh my goodness, like I need to know, I need to know what's going on. So you show them it that way, right? I think that a lot of people, they'll do sneak peeks where, they'll just record their screen and they're like, this is where you log in and this is how you get the stuff. And here's the email. And that's all fine and good. And you can include one of those as like a walkthrough video. But I think really, giving them a slice of, a couple of pages in a chapter. Or if you're like, big Kate, I'm doing group coaching, that's not going to work. Maybe your sneak peek is that you on Zoom, right? Everyone's got Zoom now. You're going to have a special free group coaching. Anybody can come. They can do office hours. You're going to run it the exact same way that you run it in the group so they can see if they match your teaching style. And then it's like, oh, because again, we're not about making things hard. We're making things fun. So again, you want to have that cashing in the chip. So when you're officially announcing it, really talk about what they've been doing, that frequently asked questions, and always start with those. I hate using the term limiting belief because so many people roll their eyes, but really that's what you're going for. Like those big excuses where they're like, how did Diane know that that's what I'm thinking about before I pick up the phone to make a sales call? Is she a witch? Right? Then you're going to have that sneak peek. And then the last one that you do truly need to have is that last chance email. And so everyone's like, oh, but Kate, you say not to rely on scarcity and urgency. Well, sometimes at the end, you just need to make it crystal clear that like the doors are closing. So in that subject line, you're going to have, the last 15 minutes to join us. Or, even what I like about that, I usually send them probably about 2, I think the funnel that I have right now is about 2 hours out. So mine's a little bit different because of my style, right? So mine's a game. And in this, not a lot of people can replicate this email, but for most of the people, you always want to let them know, like, you know what, it's okay that you're not coming. I understand. But you're not supposed to have everything together. Because again, why are they doubting themselves? You're not supposed to have everything together. You're not supposed to be Picasso, or you wouldn't be into this art course. You're not supposed to be a master at sales, or you wouldn't have been, try to hire Diane as your coach, right? So you have to sort of address their messy. So that's one sort of last chance email. And again, you're still making it crystal clear in your subject line. I like putting in timers towards the end, not to be like pushy or like, but because I have an international audience, and I love them, but time zone configuration and like we have daylight savings time, but like some people don't have daylight savings time. And like I got people in Australia and London and all that. So I use a tool called Deadline Funnels. There's a free one called Motion Mail that you can put in there. They all work. So that way people can see. They might not be able to convert the time zone of, 11:59 Eastern Standard, but they can see, oh, it's 20 minutes and I'm done. So we want to make it easier for people rather than pushing it, right? So that's the last chance email that I really like. Mine is a little bit deeper, and it really calls out about somebody being unsure of something, but in a way that's fun. So we have it, it's called a name that tune email. And so I talk about, either an artist or a song where they were like second guessing themselves. I don't use this one currently, but sometimes I bust it out. So like I go into this thing about like how this guy, he woke up in the middle of the night and he got this guitar riff in his head. And so he recorded it and went back to sleep. But when he listened to it the next day, like he wasn't sure if it was good or not. And he was really second guessing himself, and he did it to his bandmates and they loved it, but like he still didn't know. And so then I talk about how they might be second guessing themselves about joining their course. They're not quite sure, address those insecurities. But like if they're reading this email, they're more than ready. And then at the end, I let them know that it was Satisfaction by Keith Richards. So I have fun, they have fun. The email converts like gangbusters. And it's just like, oh, I've got one about Prince. Like I love those things. But you don't have to be like, oh my goodness, Kate, like I'm not that creative. You don't have to go that route. Again, I was a copywriter with a W. I got paid big bucks to make things like this before I came in to teaching it, right? Like I'm not some rando who got lucky on like Pinterest, right? Like this is what I did. So for you, it's going to be letting them know it's okay that they're unsure, but here's what you're doing in your power to make sure they get the best results possible. And if they come, that's totally cool. And if not, that's all right too, because you're not going anywhere. And then they're like, yay. So those are the 4 must-have emails. Again, some of them are a lot more mechanical, like that sneak peek. It's pretty easy to set up, like that frequently asked questions. It's that cashing in that chip when you're first opening up your cart, and that last chance email that I just want you to spend a little bit more time on, a little bit more focused on your people rather than your offer.
Got it. Wow. Seriously, like I mean, I'm taking notes and realizing I'm gonna have to listen to this a couple of times to get all that, because it makes a lot of sense to me, and it still stays within that, being yourself, being natural, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you saying that, you do things a certain way because that's who you are,
Oh yeah.
and right, and so you're not expecting other people to do it that way, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be sending out these emails.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, I always say just to everybody, if it would sound stupid coming out of your mouth in real life, don't send it in an email, because emails are supposed to be conversational. So if I was over here like, yes, queen, woo, and like talking about lady bosses, like everyone would look at me sideways. They'd be like, no. But like if I'm again talking about Keith Richards or making a comment about, Brooklyn Nine-Nine or some other comedy show, or I just recorded a reel about Mario Kart and what that says about you as an entrepreneur. That fits my brand because like that's who I am in real life.
Yeah,
And that's what people
right.
want from your emails. Like, even if your brand is to be professional, is to be a leader, you can still add a little bit of, I know you just had an episode about adding humor, but you can even just add some humanness to your emails. Like, oh yeah, like this is going on, or the words that you use to say when something is excellent, it's good, it's cool beans, it was fantastic, it was awesome, it was totally tubular. You can add those little things in there. You can use different analogies. You can use, different stats, especially if you consider yourself more button up. You might not talk about how it's National Taco Day, but you might talk about how, and I'm making this up, how 17% of the top billionaires in the world are all left-handed, which got you thinking about how, we really are a creative and different bunch. And then you sort of go into a tangent. So, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different ways that you can infuse you into your emails.
Yeah, and I love this. If it wouldn't sound natural coming out of your mouth, don't put it in an email.
Don't.
It's perfect. Like people will tell me, I can't write, and I say to them, you can speak.
Oh my God.
So
Talkers make the best email marketers. I'm
yeah,
like, go over to Google Docs, go to tools, go to voice to text. I mean,
right.
I talk too fast for it, right? But like, it'll just get your ideas out of your head.
Yep.
I think that most people, and I wonder if you find this too, the same, because I feel like writing copy and like writing books is a little bit different, but like I know you kind of have your hand in both. Like the best emails aren't written, they're edited. So like you have to start with that chunk of marble. You have to get some thought on paper so that way you can carve it and shape it and make something like, build the business of your dreams. You can say that just to get something out of your head. But before you go ahead and actually put it into your ConvertKit, to put it in your MailChimp, you're going to be like, how can I say that in a way that's more specific? So
Right.
to my people, which is key, right? So like to my people, like they want to be able to send an email and get PayPal notifications before their coffee gets cold. That is building the business of their dream. And which one sounds more inviting? Build the business of your dream or make money before your coffee gets cold. It's the second one. It
Yeah.
is, now we can start going into stores. It's being able to slap down your debit card at Whole Foods with a cart full of organic grass-fed beef and strawberries and not bat an eyelash. That's what my person's business of their dream looks like, because they don't have to worry about money. They don't necessarily want a Prada bag. Other business people, their people do want Prada bags. They don't
Right.
want to go live on an island somewhere. They want money to never be a factor in anything. And so that's when you pick those examples. That's when you shape those things in. And editing your email does not have to take long. It's just like a little bit of like, what can I do to add a little bit of spice to this? And then you're reading, like, oh, I'll change this to this. And then we're good to go.
Okay. So this is such a key point, that you have to make sure that you are messaging to your actual audience,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not to everybody or anybody, but really toward the people who resonate with your message, who like, you really have to know your target.
Exactly. And especially with email, you don't want to make a lot of like, not that I would say guys anymore, because I'm trying to be better with my pronouns and stuff, but you never want to be like, hey, everybody, or hey, guys, or what's going on, everyone. You want people to feel like you wrote that email just for them. So you want to write it in your head to one person. Yes, other people are going to read it. Yeah, I'm sure that I have dudes on my list. Not that I'm exclusively for ladies. I'm sure I have some moms, some non-moms, like, I'm sure my audience runs the gambit. But when I am writing an email, I am writing it to Talisha in my head. I know the way that she thinks, and this is what I'm going to say to her. But it just happens to get sent to everybody. And people, that's how they feel that personal connection. They're like, I feel like we're best friends. You must get that all the time from hosting a podcast. I know I do. In your Instagram, too. Diana, we're best friends. It's like, yes, we are. We're the best friends that talk business.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about writing like to a particular person. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because everybody wants to feel special.
Yeah, right.
And like you said, when you know your audience and your market, even if the person reading it is slightly different or in a slightly different situation, they still appreciate it. Like that's the interesting thing about stuff. Like they get it. They're just like, yeah, I can see that. As opposed to like, because the biggest thing I found, especially with copywriting and email marketing and the principles of email marketing work really well on Instagram too, because I know that's a big place. Instagram and email marketing work so well together. It's kind of ridiculous. But people are in that same mindset. I'm like, a caption and an email is just a matter of, do they have a clickable link or not at some points? So that's what I tell my students. I'm like, why do the work of two things instead of one? Use it in both places. Like, yeah. It's just getting them out there. It's just having that message. It's again, using things like contractions. So I versus like I am versus I'm. It's going to make you sound like a person. Yeah, right. Exactly. All right. So talk to me about like the size of the list, because you've mentioned it a couple of times, and there's definitely been over the years this, what I consider to be, and I think you probably agree with me, this ridiculous belief that it's the size of the list that matters. So let's just revisit that, because I want to make sure people really hear that it's that the list, who's on the list. Mm-hmm. It's how many of the right people, not just how many people. Like you can give away a free iPad or give away $100 Amazon gift card every week, and you can have a ginormous list, but they are not going to give two craps about you. And they are the ones that are going to report you to spam. They're the ones that are not going to open up your stuff. Yes, at some point, logic does play an issue. So if you're trying to tell me that you want a $10,000 a month and all you're selling is a $7 ebook to a list of 100 people, no one's going to buy your ebook that much. But if you're like, I've got a list of 100 people and I want to sell a 6-month coaching program at $3,000, if those are the right 100 people, they call it a lead magnet, opt-in gift, freebie, ethical bribe if you're super gross. As long as that is aligned with your offer, then you have a really good chance of making that 10K a month with only those 100 people. But you also, again, like we had talked about at the very beginning of the show, don't be so selfish. And this was something that really held me back, was I wanted to prove like, oh, like I can have like $100,000 launch with like 2,000 people, which I did. Like that was my launch list, right? So like, oh, like my conversion rate, so that's the number of people that see a thing versus do the action you want. So buy, sign up, opt into your email list, whatever it is. And then I'm like, that's just selfish. Like I should want to be able to help more people. I mean, you go to your list growth of like, no, I need to save all of these people. So I'm going to go get in front of them. That's where it changes. But again, it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 people on your list or if you have 5, you're still going to send them a weekly email, or at least every other week, Diane. I'm a realist. I understand sometimes stuff happens, but at least twice a month. I think you can manage to write 2 emails, right? You're going to have that welcome series. Again, they don't know if they're one of 5 or one of 5 million, but you're going to treat them like they're the only person on earth who matters. And they're like, yes, that's it. So again, yes, sometimes logic does come into play depending on your price point and what you're trying to sell. But again, who was it? I don't think it was Eugene Schwartz, but it was, I always loop those copywriter-esque people together, but he went in to teach a class in a college and he was talking about opening up a burger restaurant and he wanted to know, well, like what's the most important thing? How do we know if this business is going to be successful? And people were like, oh, like location, the quality of beef, the ambiance, how fast it is, the price. And he's like, it's a hungry crowd. And I like to take that a step further. It's a hungry crowd of carnivores. Because again, I could have a list of 1,000 vegans that signed up for my How to Go Vegan If You Love Bacon free gift that I put together, but I can't sell them Omaha steaks. It's going to make no sense. They might still be hungry, but they're not eating it.
Right.
So that's why yes, you want to help more people. You want to get the right people on your list. That's why you've got things like your free gift, the landing pages, the special page that you put together where people can actually give you their email address. You're going to make sure that that has the right wording. You're going to use those things as your gatekeeper. So that way it's like, you know what? I might only have 250 people on my list. I'm actively trying to get more because it's Monday. That's what we do on Mondays. But I'm going to make sure these 250 people are well taken care of. They know about the paid offers that I have, and we're going to have a great time.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time engaging with them, right? It's not just about pushing information out.
Exactly. Don't overthink it. The only way I feel like, again, I would say our listeners, I mean, I've seen other shows where like, yeah, they could really screw up email, but like our listeners and the caliber of people that you really attract, the only way that you're going to mess this up is by not doing it. Right. And if you didn't do it, it's all a mindset thing. You're like, oh, what are we going to do? Like, cut yourself some slack. You had a human experience. It might have been before you listened to the show, but now you found me. So you're good and you're not going to have that problem anymore. And the first email that you're going to send is about, free tools and resources or free websites or free apps or fines, because people love to buy stuff in every industry there is, right? Like 3 books you need to read on leadership, right? Now you can't send Amazon links through your emails, but you're going to send them 3 things because people love stuff. Then at the end, you're going to be like, hey, wondering how I got your email in the first place? Because they're probably like, who the crap is Diane, right? Like how did she get my email address? So before they hit spam, you're like, wondering how I got this? You signed up for this free gift, or we met, you're a listener of this podcast. You went to this website. So you're not starting off with this, woe is me, COVID was really hard and all of this stuff. And I was so flighty, but I'm going to do better. Nobody cares. You're still some stranger on the internet. Start with what's in it for them. They love stuff. Then you're answering the question of who the crap is this person? Honestly, that's what I call it. Who the crap is this person? Why do they get my stuff? It's like, hey, you met me on this website. And if you are still interested in learning how to meal plan without throwing away everything by Thursday because it's gross, stick around because that's what we're going to tackle over the next couple of weeks. That's it. And then if, a couple emails later on, you want to talk about a little bit about what was going on in your backstory. But again, like we always say, what's in it for them? It's like, have you ever been in a situation where just everything has gone wrong? That one sentence, right? Then you can go into your sob story and ask them how they've conquered these things. What would they have done in this situation? Almost like ask them for their advice as you're sort of telling them a little bit about why you went AWOL. And that's like, oh, she's so relatable. I'm so glad that she talked about how you don't have to be perfect and you just have to be willing to show back up. And again, some people are going to unsubscribe. You might still get a couple of spam complaints. It happens, but don't let those 5-10 people that are going to unsubscribe or might, hit that spam request keep you from the 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000 people that are excited just to see you again. Don't be a jerk. Just DML them.
Yeah. Don't be a jerk.
Right? That's my big philosophy. That's my big philosophy. Ironically, when people are like, I'm trying so hard not to be a jerk. I'm like, you're the one being the jerk. Like, again, in the bio, we talked about easiest offers. Yeah. If I have something that's like, less than $40, less than $20, and I know it's going to save you time, struggle, effort. It's going to get you, in my case, like out of your head and just writing emails, which is what my template set helps people do. I'm the jerk for not telling you about it. It's like, right. You need to stick around for 7 days before I tell you there's help. Like, you would do that if somebody had a headache. You wouldn't be like, oh, you've got to read this blog post on headaches. You've got to go ahead. You've got to try standing on your head. And then maybe day 7, I'll let you buy aspirin. Yeah. No, like you'd be so mad at CVS and Walgreens if they just wouldn't give you something that can help. It's like, no, just take my money. Do that. And again, when you come at it to an approach of not like, I need to get instant money from them, but like, I need to help them as fast as possible. That slight mindset shift, everything is going to change and they are going to feel it. Even if people think like they're so unintuitive, they can still feel it. Yeah. They just can. I don't know how to explain it, but it does.
Yeah, right. It's one of those, I know it when I see it sort of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Kate, will you please tell the listeners how they can find you? Because after this, they're going to want to.
Sure. So everybody, wherever you're listening to this fine podcast, you can search for Inbox Besties. So that is my podcast where we talk about email marketing. We talk about copywriting. We're bringing on other entrepreneurs to talk about different styles of business because that's something I've been interested in. I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes episodes because I found people really like those. I know I love listening to podcasts that are behind the scenes of how people did stuff. So we do a lot of those. You can head on over if you're like, Kate, like I've got this email list, even if it's a couple of people, which again, if you've got 2 people or even 1, it's yourself, start emailing now. So that way you get in the habit. Because wouldn't you rather practice in front of 1 people than a room of 10,000? I know I would. So practice sending emails to yourself. You can head on over to katedoster.com/accelerate, and you'll be able to get my 2 years worth of strategically planned email ideas. So I give you a little calendar and I break down like week 1 in June, you're going to send this, week 2, week 3, week 4. I have some people that follow it like religiously and they love it. I have some people that'll mix up the weeks. I have some people that are like, I like to go to December's. I'm like, I don't care. When you give a human brain a little bit of a nudge, amazing things can happen. If you're like, okay, I'm listening to this in October. It turns out that January through September come back again. So you're fine. Just start it over. So you don't need to worry about that. So that's katedoster.com/accelerate. And I know we didn't get a chance to talk too much about actual list building, but really one of those cores of being able to attract people to your email list is to have that really strong gift that you're giving in exchange for somebody's email address. So if you head on over to katedoster.com/freebies, so it's FREE, my dyslexia is showing BIES, right? That's right. She gets paid buku dollars and she's got dyslexia to teach people how to write. I'm telling you, talkers are the best email copywriters. If you go over to that, katedoster.com/freebies, we're going to be talking about what that free gift is, how to make sure that it is attracting action takers. Again, even if it's not necessarily people that are going to buy instantly, it's those people that are going to tell everyone about you. So it's like, you know what, I signed this up, but like, I'm not really into like actually bullet journaling that much, but Sam, I heard that you love bullet journaling. You need to be following like Diane, like she's a master at it, that sort of a thing. We talk about other ways in that free mini course to get it out there as well. So I think those are the places. I just started on Instagram, Kate_Doster. So that's where you can see Kate's zanier content. I'm just having fun over there. I'm like, why not? Who cares?
Exactly. It's Instagram after all.
Right? Like,
exactly.
Who cares?
Oh my gosh. It's so great. And wow. I mean, there is so much great content for people to be able to get. So Kate, thank you so much. And
thank you so much.
Listeners, thank you. You are who we're doing this for. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, a production of Evergreen Podcasts. Discover more episodes of this podcast and explore others at evergreenpodcast.com. As always, continue to prosper and be curious. And if you're looking to get your sales strategy headed in the right direction, pick up a copy of Succeed Without Selling on Amazon or wherever books are sold. Until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
The Jim Stroud Podcast explores the discoveries and trends forming the future of our lives. Brain-to-brain communication, robot bosses, microchip implants for workers, and artificial intelligence replacing human workers are all happening now. If you want to know what's happening next, subscribe now to the Jim Stroud Podcast.